Did Jeffrey Epstein have a secret child? There is just so much in this Epstein files that raises all kinds of weird questions. From him wanting a baby mama, to him having this fascination with eugenics, to very revealing accounts of alleged victims, we're going to discuss what the files reveal about if the notorious accused sex trafficker had any babies. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. All right, before we go on, if you owe the IRS more than $25,000 in back taxes, I need you to listen up. Does the thought of your back taxes keep you up at night wondering if the IRS is about to levy your bank account or garnish your paycheck? That is where Tax Hardship Center comes in, the #1 tax relief firm in the whole country with an A+ rating that has settled hundreds of millions in tax debt for people just like you. Don't call the IRS and poke the bear. Don't do that. No, the experts at Tax Hardship Center can find out where you stand without you even lifting a finger, and they can lay out a plan to fight for the best possible resolution. You can even start your free, no obligation consultation right from your phone. So if you owe back taxes, go to taxhardshipcenter.com/taxhelp now or call 877-644-6939 right now and let them show you a way out. You schmooze and find me a baby mama. Is that what Jeffrey Epstein was after? Someone to father his children? Because as we go through the Epstein files release, and there are so many materials to go through, there is this narrative that keeps coming up. And we've talked about it a little bit before, but we wanted to dedicate a full episode to it. And that is, the question is, did Epstein try to father children, and did he? That's what I want to explore right now. The concept of Jeffrey Epstein's secret children, and even this idea of a superior gene pool, kind of has a little bit of basis when you look at the files. And I'm going to point out some of the unusual revelations in these files that can maybe support it. I mean, to start out, this idea really caught fire when you saw these emails from Fergie, Sarah Ferguson, Prince Andrew's ex-wife, formerly the Duchess of York. This was to Jeffrey Epstein, like this one. Don't know if you're still on this BBM, but heard from the Duke that you have had a baby boy. Even though you never kept in touch, I still am here with love, friendship, and congratulations on your baby boy, Sarah XX. How about this one? You have disappeared. I did not even know you were having a baby. It was so crystal clear to me that you were only friends with me to get to Andrew, and that really hurt me deeply, more than you will know. Now, there was pushback against this concept, and first of all, I'll tell you, there's no concrete evidence, although, you know, I'm a lawyer, right? We say there's no direct evidence. Is there circumstantial evidence? There's no concrete evidence that Jeffrey Epstein actually fathered a child and that there is some teenage boy in the world today, or, I don't know, teenage girl. Epstein himself never confirmed that he had children, although maybe not for lack of trying, and we're going to talk about that. But I'll also tell you his brother, Mark Epstein, spoke out about this, told the Daily Beast, quote, he doesn't have any kids. Ferguson's email wasn't directly at Jeffrey, it was directed at somebody else. It doesn't make any sense that Fergie was the only person on the planet that saw Jeffrey had a fictitious kid. But actually, though, the reason I am bringing this up, the reason I actually wanted to do a sidebar on this, is because there is a back and forth exchange that came up that I want to get into. So back in 2011, this is between Jeffrey Epstein and Peggy Siegel. We've talked about her before. She is a very high-powered publicist, had tons of communications with Jeffrey Epstein, apparently had a lot of celebrity clients too. And according to Fox News, Epstein even apparently gave her $100,000 for her birthday in 2017. She told the New York Magazine, quote, I had no problem taking his money. He had lots of it. But she called him a con man, said that he was morally compromised. But she did admit she wasn't oblivious. She told the New York Mag, I was in denial, but if I tell you that he told me he changed his ways, then that's telling you I knew that he was a pervert. I mean, obviously I had a sense that he had done something wrong if he had gone to jail. I wasn't oblivious that he was morally compromised and a con man, but I don't know how to say this to you. The idea of child pornography is so heinous that you can't even think about it. You can't even discuss it. I know it sounds crazy, but it's nothing I wanted to deal with. I say all this, I give you this backstory to focus in on this 2011 exchange, okay? And some of it is not relevant, but I want to look at the relevant part. So this is where Peggy Siegel seems to write to Epstein. I am in Southampton at Tory Burch's and available all day, XOXO Peggy. Tory Burch, the famous designer. Epstein replies, you schmooze and find me a baby mama. Now, you could say, oh, he's just being playful, he's joking, he's not being serious, right? But I want you to look at what Siegel writes back and what he responds, because it takes a different element. She seemingly writes back, a baby mama. If I wasn't 102, I would take that job in a nanosecond. Can't I be the anti-Maina? I would be excellent at that job. Here is the problem. You have to find someone who'll take it as a business deal and not get crazy emotional. A top girl will want a real relationship with the father. A girl who wants a certain life that she can't get any other way is a candidate, but must be stable like a rock. Looking. Peg. Epstein writes back, I need great genes. Smart, pretty, funny if you were 50 years younger. Whoops, 40. So kind of like interested in her finding someone for him, right? Like he's not just dismissing it. And she seemingly responds, I'm thinking this is a position for a European who understands the mistress, in this case, baby mama mentality. You need someone young, without much of a career, maybe a professional student, someone who is kept and can just keep going to school, getting all sorts of degrees. Also, who doesn't have much of a family herself. The last thing you want is in-laws. Ha! A wannabe socialite is not the way to go. Looking and looking, XOXO, Peg. Epstein writes back, no Soros types. So possibly in reference to George Soros, right, the billionaire investor. Again, seems to be taking it seriously. This seems to be like a legitimate conversation about finding him somebody, right? Siegel writes back, she is Brazilian and an actress, totally unstable. Listen to me, you need a European intellectual and not an author who will write about you. No showbiz trash. Is there an agency for this tall order? Epstein writes back, no, but there is a commission paid from Wagging Tail. By the way, this is not the only reference to baby mama and Epstein in the Epstein files. So how about this email from, the name is redacted, to Epstein, 2010. It says, congratulations, Jeffrey. Now be good to yourself for a while. Chill. Time will take care of the rest. You will forget this in time, and let's work on a baby mama for you. Please let me have a new email and phone, Jonathan. Found this one too, from a redacted to Epstein in 2014. If I was your baby mama, she would be the same angelic beauty. And there's just like weird ones too, like kind of hard to put this one into context, but this is from redacted to Epstein 2014. Your baby is 19 today. Happy birthday to her. I know it must be a special day for you. I don't know what that means. Could be a joke. Maybe it's not really his child. Maybe it's something else. I don't know. But I also have to say, there is an allegation in the Epstein files that Jeffrey Epstein himself admitted to being a father. So in the files is this FBI 302 form that memorializes an interview with an alleged Epstein victim. Now, the date of the entry is January 10th, 2020, but says it was drafted August 7th, 2019. So this is just right before Epstein died in his jail cell. And it reads, in another suite of his residence, there was a picture of a blonde woman on the beach. Epstein told Redacted that this was the mother of his child. There was a torso sculpture, like a mold. Epstein said that this mold was of this woman. Epstein told Redacted that this woman was perfect. Epstein told Redacted that her husband will be very lucky. And you know what? You actually see a picture of what appears to be this torso sculpture in the files. So if that's right, if we're saying this is the same thing, it helps to corroborate that part of the story, although it is unclear if authorities were able to corroborate the other aspects of it. And by the way, even if Jeffrey Epstein said that, was he telling the truth? Was he like tongue-in-cheek? I don't know, but a weird thing nonetheless. By the way, talking accounts, you have one Epstein victim who said in a 2016 deposition, this was in the litigation between Ghislaine Maxwell and renowned Epstein accuser Virginia Giuffre. So in this lawsuit, this was the following. Have you ever been propositioned by anyone to have a baby for someone? The answer, yes. And who propositioned you? Jeffrey asked me. Did he ask you more than once? Yes. And what did he say? Basically just said, I want you to be the mother of my baby. And do you recall your response to that? I don't believe that I said flat out no. I didn't agree to it. I would just say, oh yeah, really? Then there's this too. So in a lawsuit against Ghislaine Maxwell, this is part of her deposition. I want you to listen to what was asked and what the response was. So the question was, did Jeffrey Epstein or you ever ask any female, regardless of age, to carry Jeffrey's baby for him? And then there's an objection to the form and foundation, or anything else along those lines. That's the question continuing. Objection to the form and foundation. Then there's an answer, I think, from Ghislaine Maxwell. Can you repeat the question, please? Did you or Jeffrey Epstein ever ask any female, regardless of age, to carry Jeffrey Epstein's baby for him? Another objection to the form and foundation. And I think this is Ghislaine Maxwell saying, are you asking, and then the question, it's kind of like crosstalk, to become pregnant, did you or Jeffrey Epstein ever ask any female to become pregnant and carry Jeffrey Epstein's baby for you or for Jeffrey? Objection to form and foundation. The answer is, again, appears to be from Ghislaine Maxwell, you need to be very specific. I have no idea what you're talking about. That's completely rubbish. Did you or Jeffrey Epstein ask any female to become pregnant and carry his baby for either him or you? There's an objection to the form and foundation, then a go ahead. I can't testify to anything Jeffrey did or didn't do when I am not present, but I have never asked anybody to carry a baby for me. Or anything along those lines is the question, and there's an objection to the form and foundation. By the way, I should mention this too. So the Daily Beast did an article on this, and there is a picture of Jeffrey Epstein, looks older, so I wonder if this is in 2019, 2018, with a woman. Her face has a black box over it, so it's redacted, holding a baby. Yeah, weird. I don't know who this is. I don't know the context. Normally I wouldn't call it out, but in light of what we're talking about, how could I not? And you could say that with all this reporting of what Epstein was seemingly interested in, I gotta call out this disturbing New York Times article from back in 2019. It was called Jeffrey Epstein Hoped to Seed Human Race with His DNA, which alleged that Epstein told people that he wanted to impregnate women and have them give birth to his babies at Zorro Ranch, that was gonna be the base by which to carry out this system. And actually, that article was included in the Epstein Files release. It was part of the SDNY news clips. So they apparently gathered maybe daily news clips or news articles or things that were part of their briefing. And remember, they were the prosecutors going after Jeffrey Epstein. And it was discussed in this article how Epstein had this, quote, unusual dream that he apparently turned to scientists and businessmen, telling them that he wanted women to have his babies and the ranch would be the place. Although the article makes clear there is no evidence that he was actually able to do this, or that he did do this, and that Epstein, though, was fascinated with transhumanism, so using science to improve the human race through technology like genetic engineering and AI. And by the way, some believe this is like eugenics, like controlled breeding. And the piece explains that Epstein did seem to be interested in eugenics. How you had two award-winning scientists and an advisor to large companies and wealthy individuals come forward and say, you know what, yeah, Epstein had these New Mexico baby plans. You had one witness come out who said that, yeah, I was told about this by Epstein himself at a gathering at his Manhattan townhouse. You have one of the scientists who said Mr. Epstein said this at a 2001 dinner. You have another saying Epstein talked about it too at a 2006 conference in St. Thomas. You know, in the law, we always talk about corroborating witnesses who don't have any connection to each other saying the same thing. I mean, it's weird. They're all saying he said stuff like this. Now, is it true? Did he say it? Was it a joke? I don't know. Something that he wanted taken seriously? That seems to be a common theme. We're talking about this, but there seems to be this effort, right? And then you look at the emails. I even found this email that was sent to Epstein in 2010 from a redacted, and it says, "You've been on my mind a lot today. Just gave a talk in Philadelphia, hung out with Barnaby, and we had a mutual admiration moment about you. We also talked about genius, ... and eugenics, ... Got this email from a Vincenzo Iozzo in 2015. I believe he's a cybersecurity professional, founder of /ID. He was reportedly removed from the boards of cybersecurity conferences in the wake of his communications with Epstein, by the way. But the email says, "Hello, how have you been? I'm in Dubai. Next week, it's the beginning of the Ramadan. Really curious to see what it's like here. Anyhow, I'm going to be in NYC, US from June 28th to July 4th. Are you around by any chance? I wanted to drop by to say hi and also tell you what I'm working on. In completely unrelated news, I bumped into this a while ago. I think you'll like it." And it's this article, quadrant.org.au/magazine/2015, eugenics ready. Why on earth would he seemingly send Jeffrey Epstein that article? And Epstein writes back, by the way, "Check close to the time. It will be fun if I am there." I got to talk about the diary entries. Okay, I can't have a conversation about children, secret babies, anything like this without the diary entries. So you see these in the Epstein files, and you have this one from who appears to be an unnamed female. The handwriting is difficult to kind of decipher, but she writes about feeling like a human incubator, says that Epstein talked about creating a, quote, superior gene pool. In the files, there seem to be these diary entries from what seemed to be a young girl or a young female. The passages describe abuse, trauma, pain, and it centers around this person being pregnant and giving birth. Detailed, disturbing, alleged accounts of childbirth, with Ghislaine Maxwell seemingly right there. Like this: close your eyes, close your eyes, close your eyes. Don't speak, she doesn't talk. I can't stop shaking and it's been a week. A decision was made, but I can't tell Jeffrey. These things happen. Why didn't I close my eyes fast enough? The doctor was different again, I think from Israel. He had kind eyes, but didn't speak directly to me. This was different. A shot in those rod-like things had a hook and had so much pain. Ghislaine said to push all the pain away. I don't understand. Blood and water all over the bed, and she was right. Like a feeling when your tummy hurts and you have to push. She said to close my eyes and put her hands over my eyes, but I didn't close them because of these tiny cries. I am so lost. I saw between her fingers this tiny head and body in the doctor's hands. It reached its tiny arm up and had a tiny foot. I closed my eyes and no more cries. And by the way, chillingly, there's even a picture of what appears to be a sonogram on a page with the words, "She is gone and she won't be coming back," next to what appears to be a poem entitled Child. You have passages such as, "Your clear eye is the one absolutely beautiful thing. I want to fill it with color and ducks." And then there's a couple more passages that I want to talk about from diaries, like, "My heart belonged to her. She was so very beautiful. She was perfect. I can't bring myself to write what happened. I am beyond broken. I only get 10 to 15 minutes to hold and feed her before they took her. She is mine. I want her back. Distraught. Tomorrow's the halfway ultrasound for Jeffrey. This one stuck after they took the first baby who survived and the early miscarriage, I think it was called. I no longer feel like a person but a vessel. Will they take this one too? Who has the first one? Where did Ghislaine go? She is never around. I can't let myself get attached. I'm not old or mature enough or even in the place to have a baby that I would be responsible for. I'm not even able to focus on anything other than hiding this again. I had to go to eating disorder treatment prior to being in their situation again and missed the entire fall semester of school. I am so very exhausted. My body feels so tired. Will I ever be free?" And then this one. "I am such a monster. I didn't console her. I can't unhear her screams. They haunt me. I couldn't even bring myself to look at her. I am a monster. I deserve to be haunted by her screams. I am so sorry. I am so broken. So sorry, Jeffrey, these things happen when your body had never been given time to properly heal. So it came out in the toilet. I didn't know what to do, so I just flushed the tiny little fetus. You have made me numb, and I hate you for this. I hope I never have to see you again. I am not your personal incubator. Where is the baby? Where is Ghislaine?" Now, to be clear, we don't know for sure who this person is. We don't know if this claim is real. We don't know if this sonogram is the baby that the person mentioned, let alone a baby of Jeffrey Epstein's. Also, we can't confirm whether any charges or investigations were launched because of this specific account or accounts. But what is interesting, at least to me, is the specificity of detail, acknowledging certain personal details about Epstein. Like, for example, this. "After so many bonding moments with Jeffrey, Ghislaine, their baby inside me, with me in the middle, she wouldn't even look at me. We said nothing to one another and I was so confused. When we arrived at Palm Beach, I was taken to a house close to Jeffrey's, I think called Ocean Boulevard or Street, but it was close and I was alone except for a new driver, not Mr. Juan." By the way, that seems to be in reference to Juan Alessi. This is somebody who testified in Ghislaine Maxwell's criminal trial, so it's interesting you think about that detail. Okay, and I also want to call this out too. Looks like there was a letter that was sent at one point. It's in the files, and this is how it begins. "I'm Esther Cohen Tizer Epstein, and you're receiving this because you are A, a convicted sex offender required by law to monitor, control, and contain your sexual deviance, or B, an ordinary citizen who can benefit from having your sexual deviance monitored, explored, and amplified." And then it goes on to say this: "Still, I wanted more from Jeffrey, and he was often distant and dismissive of me and my feminine charms. One night, as the sun set over Little St. James Island, I stood in the room where Jeffrey had just received a therapeutic massage from one of my daughter's friends. The room was covered in," and I'm sorry to say this, but this is what it says, "the room was covered in a genius's seed, which was going to waste. I had an inspiration and asked the chef to bring me an extra large turkey baster, and in a beautiful fertility ritual created my youngest daughter, redacted. At first, Jeffrey was furious, but I pointed out that by staggering daughters every 8 years, he would always have a supply of ripe girls at his disposal. He bought me a house at Redacted. He got my oldest daughter into Redacted by donating $50,000 to their gender studies program, and paid for my youngest daughter to attend Redacted, and all she had to do was send him a pint of Mormon blood every week. Thank you, Jeffrey. You helped so many people and gave me the Italian marble tiles in my kitchen, steam shower, and a ranch of my own to continue the great work. Also, a quick thank you, Ghislaine. By the way, I haven't said anything to the feds yet and won't as long as those USPS money orders keep arriving from Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center. So yeah, even though there has been evidence of these large expenditures that Epstein had made and donations to key people, I don't know what to make of this. Nothing to indicate this story has been verified in any way. And by the way, the DOJ has warned that there could be untrue allegations, sensationalist allegations in the files. But I will tell you this also. After Jeffrey Epstein died, you know what was interesting? It was reported by outlets like the Daily Beast and Trust Council. More than 100 people came forward saying they were Epstein's biological children to seemingly get a portion of his estate. And I will say it's interesting when you think about that, because we did sidebars on this as well. But when you look at his financial planning documents, like his last will and testament, his trust documents, nothing, as far as we could see, nothing in those forms would tell you that he was leaving anything to a child or children. He made arrangements for his accountant, his lawyer, his brother, his purported secret girlfriend, acquaintance, Karina Shuliak. I mean, she was getting the most at one point, $100 million. His property, Zorro Ranch, the islands, places in Paris, Palm Beach, New York. Again, nothing to the children, or these secret children, as far as I could see. So at this point in time, there is no concrete definitive evidence that Jeffrey Epstein had a baby or secret children, but it is interesting to see all of these communications and this correspondence and these details in the files and these entries in the files, because it seemingly gives you an idea of what he maybe was looking for, maybe what he was interested in. But at the very least, it's just another aspect of a very weird and disturbing story. But that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you should get your podcasts. You can also check us out on NBC's Peacock as well. If you want to follow me, X, Instagram, my News Nation show, Jesse Weber Live, Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. Eastern. See you next time, everybody.